Welcome to the All Things Energy podcast. We're here to power up your understanding of the energy industry with some electrifying topics and some stellar guests. And really, it's my pleasure. I'm super excited about this one. Was thinking about this one for a while, of having one of our very own here in Lubbock, Dustin McCorkle, GM of the Lubbock Matadors soccer team. Dustin, awesome. Glad to have you here.
Man, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you and I have had tons of offline conversations over many different things. And I thought, oh my gosh, we'll have fun kind of diving into, what is a growing, exciting trend impacting Lubbock and the whole country. And so, man, glad you're here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think, Lubbock is thought of first and foremost for our good friends at Texas Tech and all the great things they've done in the community and built up for our city. And, if you're a Lubbockite, what's really special out here is there's so many new things that are coming along. There's people that are wanting to impact us in really good ways. And we're blessed to be a small part of that.
No, it's exactly right. I think we'll dive into this. But, as a community grows, and Lubbock has been, is, and continues to grow, the interests of that community begins to expand and grow, and their desire to participate and be a part of other things continues to grow. And I think you've probably experienced this firsthand a little bit. So I like to kind of back up a little bit and ask, man, how did Dustin get connected into the Lubbock community? What's the origin?
Yeah, long story short, I am a Texas Tech grad, so that's how I originally got my roots connected out here.
Wreck 'em.
Yep. And so proud Red Raider. After school, I got into the sports world, ended up moving to Atlanta, a city I never even saw before I moved there, to go work in the NBA, and then moved to New York City to go work in the NHL as my career progressed. And then, like every great story in life, a love interest popped back up, and a lovely, beautiful woman brought me back to Lubbock.
Yeah. I could echo that story. I'm not a Lubbock native, but pretty girl promised me I don't want to move back to my hometown of Lubbock. And I was like, don't lie to me. Do not lie to me. And she was telling the truth at the time. But life and God has a way of sending you kind of back to places you didn't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget. I fell in love with Lubbock when I was in school. I thought it was a great place for college experience and all of the things. And I actually shed some tears when I left, thinking like, I'll never see this place again. And then fast forward, again, life happens. I think some things aligned that showed me I needed to be back here. And since I've moved back, I've dove in head first to making sure that Lubbock is a great place to be.
Yeah, that's right. So tell me this, how did you get into the specific sports industry of soccer? Where did that open door?
Yeah. Well, I grew up playing soccer. So I grew up in Dallas, and in Dallas, soccer is big time. And, they host some of the largest youth soccer tournaments, and always felt really drawn to the sport. I'm not really shaped to play soccer. I was actually better suited for football and baseball. Yep. But I fell in love with it. And, looking back, I always think about how, universal our sport is. They call it the world's game. And you just need some land and a ball, and you can make anything out of goals to go play it. And introduced me to all walks of life. And I had a very diverse friend group growing up because of it. And never really understood how that would translate later on. But, fell in love with the game and got to play in college before I transferred to Tech, played at Dallas Baptist University. So I've always had a passion for the sport. And then when I got into the business of sports, I realized it doesn't really necessarily matter what sport you're overly passionate about. And sometimes it actually works to your benefit to not necessarily work a sport that you're wanting to watch the entirety of, because you're working a lot. But I look at this and we got the World Cup coming here in 2026. I'd always wanted to say, I've learned a lot of great things being in the industry. How can I help grow a game that I'm passionate about? And I started my own sports consulting business and got involved with some soccer teams in that way first. And so my first consulting contract was with a professional team in Oklahoma City. Spent 2 years consulting with them, working in that. did really well, and that built my reputation up within the soccer space to where I had teams all over the country asking to hire me to work with them, and was fortunate enough to get a C-level executive position with one of the best pro teams in all of soccer in the country out in New Mexico, and did some really good things there. So the whole consulting relationship space had really entered me into that, and that's kind of how I got connected back into it.
I'm going to ask a somewhat of a sideball question here, but I'm hearing this thread a little bit, and I don't know that you've used the word, and so maybe I'm pushing on something that's not there, but certainly you cultivated skill sets in the sports marketing in the years that you spent in Atlanta, in New York, NHL, et cetera, that translated that you could begin applying those in the consulting side of things. But how big of a role is the strategic formation, development of relationships been in your career that goes along with the skills that you're applying?
100%. It's something that as a father now, I plan, one of the number one priorities I'm going to talk about is your personal brand, and the relationships that you create.
Yeah.
I absolutely benefited from having great mentors. One of the reasons why I went to Atlanta out of tech, was, I connected really well with the leadership there, but B, they said it's one of the hardest places in America to sell sports and marketing. So if you can come here and do a good job, there'll be a career for you long-term in this. And so A, I sought out the challenge, but B, I immediately connected with people there. One of the first things I did, working in sports, was I went and took every business leader in their department out to coffee and lunch, to let them get to know me, number one, and B, for me to learn from them on how their career developed. And I really think that little touch of curiosity and wanting to learn from people above you that have been successful led to interest in getting to know me and rooting for me. And I tell people all the time, you hear people say in business, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, it's all about who you know. But I take that a step further. It's like, it's about who you know that roots for your success.
Yeah.
Because you can know a lot of people, but if they're not caring about you succeeding in life, you may not get the investment back the way that you would like. So I've always been a big believer, treat people with respect. Our values don't leave us when we walk in our business doors. And I know with our capitalism, sometimes this can be an easy dream to chase, and we can forget some of that. But I just believe, like, do your best to be a good person, connect with really good people, surround yourself with people that are doing as well and better than you, so that way you can continue to learn and grow, and hopefully that will cultivate you into getting more and more opportunities.
Well, and you said something that I'm going to really emphasize for a lot of people that are listening, for different reasons that you're listening to it, and that is, it is remarkable the acceleration in the relationships, in the buy-in you get relationally when it begins with, and I'm going to use your words, it begins with genuine curiosity with these other individuals, and just asking those hungry questions of, tell me your story and how you got here. And my experience has been on both sides of it. When you're asking those questions, there's very few people who have walked a journey of highs and lows, certainly have the successes, that don't want to share their stories. I mean, it's like, it's so rare for them not to want to do it, because it's a part of who they are. You're getting gold from them. But it creates a rapport and an endearing and a connection, which translates into what you said. They begin to go, I want to see this person. I'm going to root for them. And it just, that there's a connection and a bonding that happens when it comes from sincerity. Because I've been in meetings where it's like, this person's just trying to just steal something from me or get something out of me that's not genuine. So, go in with sincerity, but it's powerful what happens. Yeah.
I mean, you talk about what is the most valuable thing that we all have that we talk about is time.
That's right.
So I think, to your point, the big key in that, I always took notes. I was a big proponent of writing thank you cards post-meeting. I wanted people to know that nugget that you gave me, I took it. This is what I got from the conversation, and I'm super grateful that someone in my position, you would take time out to share it with me.
And it's something that, there's a lot of people that make a lot of excuses for why they are where they are. And I'm just like, just ask. Just put yourself out there and ask. I know it's not easy. It feels uncomfortable. You might get rejected, but you ask, and it'll be unbelievable to you the doors that begin to open relationally, knowledge you get, wisdom you get.
Well, yeah, it's the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? I'm a big proponent of put yourself out there. What's the worst that's going to happen? And when you can come to terms with what the worst is, which isn't that big of a deal, which is a no or some sort of rejection to whatever, more often than not, you're going to get the positive end of that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm a big believer in raise your hand if you're in the business community and you're wanting to go places. Let the people that have some sort of say in that know what the intentions are. What do you need to do to be able to showcase that, to be able to get there? And then one of the biggest things that I took in my career that I still try to apply today is like, be the best at your current role, and then the next one will come find you.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
right.
and too often I think we get caught up in chasing the next thing before we've mastered where we're at. And I'm a big believer. You gotta make sure that you're the best at your craft, and then the rest will pan out as long as you're doing the right things.
Yep, that's huge. And you mentioned how global soccer is, certainly the most watched sport in the world, the beautiful game, so on and so forth. I experienced that this summer. You know, I didn't play. I played a little bit of soccer growing up, but not intensely. And we're down serving in the Dominican Republic, and a lot of Haitian refugees coming in out of difficulty in Haiti. And one of the biggest connection points was just in the middle of his Caliche Street, in front of a church, just inviting some, young men to come in and play soccer. And of course they dominated. My shin is still a little sore from this one 16-year-old kid that could just pound the ball with bare feet, right? It's just remarkable, but it's beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I always say, soccer is an artistic sport. You know, like there's so many different ways that you can create move that is unrestricted compared to a lot of the other sports. So it really is an art form.
Yeah.
If you're really good. So I can relate. I went to Greece when I was in my senior year doing a mission trip, and it was 2004. Greece just won the Euro Cup, which for those who don't know,
it was a big deal for them. Like big.
I mean, that's unheard of. They would never have been favored to win. And there's just the celebration. I mean, that's the passion. I get to wake up and do something and be a part of something that people love. And 3 weeks after they win, they're still playing over the streets, and the intercom's a celebration of that final goal, and people are running around like, this is their entire world. And so it's special getting to participate and learn other cultures and use something fun like a sport to connect all walks of life, no matter where you are.
So pivoting to kind of where we are today, the Lubbock Matadors. Tell us, number one, when did Lubbock Matadors get started? And then number two, as you have been a part of this and watched what's taken place the last few years, what do you think are some of the key ingredients that has really brought about some of this passion, excitement, really building some loyalty? I mean, I think you see it in some of the data numbers of who's showing up to these games relative to everything else. So kind of speak to that. How long has this been going on? And then what are you seeing? What are you pointing to?
Yeah, we're still a young team. So, I actually got word that this was going to be announced and coming here fall of 21. So literally 3 years ago, right around this time. And I met with ownership in January 22 and was offered the job, started in February. So we kicked our first ball in 22 of May. And so I had 3 months to figure out how we were going to get some people there.
Plenty.
So our goal originally to set out, which it's great looking back, was like, how do we get 1,000 people to our first ever game?
Yep.
And then you fast forward 3 months and we have 4,300 and some people there, which was unbelievable. And I think the big testament to that is community. One of the biggest things for me was, if we're going to build this thing, we need the right strategic partners in town to help us make it feel special, cool, different, and exciting. And so we went to some companies and brands in town that we thought of that were fun, cool, doing something unique, different, and figuring out ways that we could partner with them, not only financially, but through activations, through things that we're going to do in the community, through game day experiences, all of those things. How do we create a different environment that you wouldn't experience necessarily at a tech game, and make it affordable for everybody to show up and be a part of it? So, I have to give some love to those partners that said yes before they knew what this was going to be, because it took a lot of faith. And, Lubbock has seen semi-pro sports come through here before and fail. And so one of the first questions I was getting hit with every single time we were having meetings was, we've had this type of thing. Why is this different? And that was a special thing that I got to be able to passionately speak to, and how we were going to be different. And I straight up told some of these business owners, listen, if you wait on the sideline to see if this is going to be successful, we're going to fail. We need people that are going to believe and see the future and say, hey, like, soccer may not be my thing, but this could be a big thing for the city, and there's tons of people that can access it. And so strategic partnerships. And then I would say the other big thing was identifying fans that this actually resonated with, and going and having conversations with those folks to say, we want this to be reflection of Lubbock and you. What do you want to see? How do you want to be featured? We want you to be a part of it. And having those fans step up and say, here's how I would like to see our game days come to life. Here's what would get me really excited. And then actually implementing that feedback. And now all of a sudden, those handful of guys that we were talking with have now turned into 70 something people all sitting together, chanting, cheering, lighting smoke bombs when we score, drumming all game long, and making the 806 a really tough place to play.
What are some of those even small specific things that you kind of love now pointing to that make the game day experience a little bit unique? And I'll even put a little more context around it to say the actual event of playing soccer or fill in the blank, right? It's important. It's a draw, but I think what you're speaking to is this greater fan experience, this engagement, this intentionality, this connection to a bigger thing that really causes the change to take place, the growth to take place, the attraction to take place. So give us maybe an example of one or two things that, man, maybe you didn't even know if it was going to work, but holy cow, look up now, and it's, a big part of some of the fan day events. Yeah,
I would say we created a couple of elements that are unique to our experience, and just a couple of my favorite things. One is, we give the opportunity for our kids to walk out with the players. So it's a unique environment where, these kids are holding hands with what could be a potential professional athlete in the near future. That's something that always gets me really excited, because I just love seeing these kids light up with some of the things that they get access to at our games. But I would say our fan zone, if you will, for people who aren't familiar, we have a supporters group called the Mozos. And we actually worked with them to say, like, hey, like, we're going to try and get approvals at the stadium for y'all to do whatever you want to do to make it your own. And, they literally lead chants all game long. And I've worked with our PA guy to kind of help make sure that this gets highlighted. So they do a march from our block party into the stadium before the match. Our PA guy actually announces when our fan base is coming in. The whole stadium stops, watches, and claps for them. And then they start leading the chants right from there, and people join in. And the first game of the year that we did, these guys were off chanting by themselves, and it wasn't 70-something people at that time. It was 10. Yeah. And had a fan literally walk from one end of the stadium over and tell them to shut up, and said, I didn't pay to come listen to you guys yell all game. And so that was a moment where I had a question of, like, we're going to have to educate people on how soccer is different from anything else that they're going to go experience in town. And then you fast forward now, coming out of our third season, and you look up, and as the skull clap, chants are happening, everybody's doing it with them, shouting LBK. And the pride that comes alongside that has been special. Yep. No, you're exactly right. And you mentioned in reference, and I think it's a big deal, and that is in, I don't know, less than 2 years, we've got, the biggest sporting event in the world descending upon this country, and here in Texas. So for those that may be a little bit less familiar,
What are some of your excitements, hopes, expectations around what has been building, what will be here, and then, what that could kind of produce in its wake?
Yeah, I think soccer is the fastest growing sport in America. We're seeing baseball's trying to revitalize right now. A lot of their population is aging out. And hockey has never really caught on. I worked in the NHL for a while, and when your kids don't have access to ice, it's hard to connect to the sport, and you got all these really hard names to pronounce, and you can't see their faces. And so for us, it's like, hey, soccer, the injuries are limited in comparison to a lot of sports. We're seeing a lot of moms being a lot more excited for their kids to get involved in soccer than head traumatic sports. And with the World Cup coming in, we're expecting to see substantial amount of growth and interest. I mean, what's really cool, especially being out here in Lubbock, Dallas is getting the most games out of any venue in the country. They're getting 9 games. So the idea that, people in our surrounding areas aren't going to get access to a couple of games to go either to Houston or Dallas to go watch, and then be like, oh, wow, there's something that we have here. My kids had a blast at the World Cup. Let's get engaged here. My kids want to start playing. Oh, yeah, there's professional athletes in town that we can go see. That's all we're pushing our chips on the table is we are expecting through all of these things an exponential amount of growth and involvement in what we got going on. Well,
one of our, I say very own, or certainly we have adopted him as our own. He spent a few years doing the football here. Mr. Patrick Mahomes and his wife have taken a very keen interest into the sport of soccer in their city of Kansas City, right? So tell us their connection to it, and then is there any seed plannings of, man, can we get Patrick in for like a Matador?
Yeah,
event?
Patrick, if you're watching, which I know you're a big Rise Energy fan.
That's right.
We would love to have Patrick involved in more than one way. Listen, Brittany played college soccer. They've obviously done some tremendous things to bring the women's game to Kansas City. What I love about Patrick Mahomes is he actually really does care about Lubbock.
Yep.
If I had to think of any athlete that reps their college more, I can't think of it.
So true, right?
Yeah, like you see all these like elite athletes. When do you see, Tom Brady going back to Michigan and watching any Final Four basketball and putting it on? Like every chance he gets, he is so appreciative of his time here and his connection. So we would love to figure out a way to get him involved with our team for sure.
They have a passion for soccer. I mean, I think they're the women's soccer team there in Kansas City. I read something. They can build one of the biggest, women's soccer stadiums itself. I mean, that's no small commitment to it. So that just speaks to, again, the endorsement of what they are passionate about, but an endorsement of what they're recognizing community culture growth is attaching to, and here in Lubbock, again, we have the same opportunity for that. So
and in women's sports too. I mean, women's soccer has been crazy right now. I mean, the amount of youth involvement in the women's game. I mean, that's long term. We would love to be able to supply that, and we've got a phenomenal college program, which our Matadors are going to go out and support them this Friday as they host an NCAA tournament. So I'm really excited for our fans to go and make sure that they're getting involved, and Tom Stone's done a phenomenal job with that program. So, it's again, men's and women's soccer has just been such a huge peak. Our women's semi-professional league 3 years ago, their final had around 1,000 people at it. And this past year, they were around 14,000.
Wow, that's a big increase.
So,
tell me quickly, how have you guys leveraged and utilized, the social media and kind of some of the different marketing efforts to get the brand out there, connect with people? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I think in any business, you need to. Social media is a huge part of the success of anything. As you see in the sports world, people love behind the scenes content. They love being able to see athletes at the peak performing. We took the model of I wanted to be fun and a little bit edgy at times with things, just to make sure that we were again, creating something unique, something different, and being true to who we are. And so we like to have a little fun on social sometimes. We like to poke the bear. Yep. Our fans get involved with that. So there's been some fun back and forths and jabs at some other teams that we play. And what's great is, you know, I tell our coaches, we're going to be loud on social. We're going to be in your face. We're going to take a lot of pride that we're good in what we do, and we expect you guys to go back it up on the field when we're doing our talking. So,
well, and you guys have had some really great success early on, and that's kudos to all of those things.
Yeah, I'm really excited. You know, brand new team, you're not expecting anything. Our conference is actually extremely difficult. I mean, you got to think about it. Like, we're playing in the conferences where soccer's top notch. We play a lot of teams that are close to San Antonio, Brownsville, Laredo. They've got access to professional Mexican players that are literally across the border and coming up here and playing during the summer to stay sharp. And we've already won the league once with our conference, and we've got a winning record every single season. And the first season when we missed the playoffs, we missed it by literally a couple of points. And so to start out strong and then go do all we've done so far on the field, it's been special. And as you know, this city loves winning products.
Yeah, yep.
So it is a goal of ours to be a winning product.
Yep. Well, I'm going to pivot a little bit. I mean, this is the All Things Energy podcast, and I know you don't today, future, you know, own some of your own, you know, we'll say stadium facilities, right? Certainly you dream big. I have no doubt that's somewhere in the dreams. But just even from a sports operation standpoint, you rub shoulders with a lot of people around the country. I'll just kind of ask the 30,000-foot view question around energy, and that is, how do you see sports teams interacting with, impacted by awareness of, you know, the ever-changing energy landscape that touches everyone, small or big?
Yeah, it is an issue, and it's top of mind. I would say one of the biggest priorities for a lot of professional sports teams, from my time in that space, and B, just talking with friends there, is like, how do we keep things as green as possible now? Yeah. These green initiatives are like, it's a badge of honor for some of these facilities to be able to say that they're doing things to support that. And I think a great example of that is go up to Seattle, where the Kraken play, and literally every part of their facility has green initiatives in it, and it's the most green stadium in the country. It's also one of the newest stadiums in the country. So it's something that financially is a large impact. His energy is up and down, but it's also something that futuristically we're thinking about, you know, how do we control waste? How do we control solar, and bringing this level of cost for us down, but also promoting to the world that this stuff matters.
That's right. Well, and I think even some of the solutions we're trying to bring alongside customers and companies as they think about those things, because every organization is a little bit different in terms of where that priority lies. I think certainly a public-facing organizations, sporting teams and organizations have much more of a public-facing interaction, and there's a sensitivity to community, culture, stewardship, so forth. And it's fun being in the energy side of the space, understanding what those priorities are, and be able to say, hey, what if we could come alongside you and help some messaging? Like, we're talking to some universities about, hey, your budget, what if we could lower energy costs by 10 to 20%? I mean, that alone, no one's going to complain about. But now we can introduce some, we call them commercial scale batteries. So commercial scale batteries provide some incredible energy flexibility in managing grid challenges, lessening the need for other types of energy resources, resiliency and backup. And we kind of stack all of these different benefits to the university or to the stadium customer. So if you want to introduce some stadiums, and then here's what I love to dangle in front of them. And you can take this messaging, I'll help craft it with you, and you can look like a cutting edge organization, university that, you know, behind the scenes, you're saving 30, 40%, which you're thrilled about. But in front of the public, you've been able to adopt these new strategies, tools, resources, assets, which can make a massive impact. And it's becoming this really beautiful, I call win-win-win.
Yeah, well, it's living your values too, right? Because I go back to, you know, being true to what you say you're about. And as we're evolving, as we're learning, and as new opportunities come up to where we can be more efficient and do things differently, it is important to be kind of a beacon in that space, but also try and do things a little bit better and differently that help everybody out.
Yep. I think if I'm not mistaken, the Hunt family is connected to the FC Dallas.
Yeah. So cool connection point. Our head investor was hired by Lamar Hunt to start FC Dallas.
Yep.
So we have an interesting connection there. So yeah, maybe he could reach out on our behalf.
Well, and we may have to circle offline because a year ago I spent an entire year working. I fly to Dallas about once every 2 months, and I worked in Hunt's downtown headquarters, and we were putting together a pilot project for a South Dallas University, a battery energy component, and couldn't get the city of Dallas to agree to some things and had to shelve it, but built some relationships with their Hunt Energy department. And so you've got my wheel spinning on reconnecting back around there again.
Yeah, Josh is going to get us to stadium.
That's right. That's right. So, okay, we're going to kind of conclude with what we like to call our lightning fast. So I'm just going to ask a question. First thing off your brain, what kind of comes to it? So you kind of said, how did you get in sports marketing? What was the first trigger?
That was me reaching out at Texas Tech, fearful of graduating.
Yep.
And saying, I need a job in sports.
Nice.
Don't know what that means, and got an opportunity to get hired, and that was my foot in the door to be able to figure out where I wanted to go.
Yeah. So fear was pushing you.
It was.
Yeah. Fear can be a wonderful thing, can be a detrimental thing. But
and us males, sometimes it takes the last minute to kick in.
What do you think is one of the bigger trends in soccer sports marketing now? If you were to kind of point to something.
Messi coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
I think the biggest trend right now is how do we get some of these big names in soccer in their prime to represent the U.S. brand rather than staying over in Europe. So we're seeing a lot more investment in some of these bigger guys.
Do you think, because we saw, I don't know if Beckham was the first one 10 plus years ago when he came to LA, Galaxy maybe. Thierry Henry, I think, was another one. Hey, how do you like that?
I love it.
I'm nailing some of these down.
Where'd he go?
Messi, obviously being the biggest. Do you think that his experience here, it's been winning. Miami's getting massive valuation of Miami's going through the roof. David Beckham's now benefiting from that on the Miami side of things. Do you think as the other European soccers are watching this, let's say European, I guess we'll call it global soccer guys, do you think they're watching this and going, maybe I could do that too? What do you think their observation is of Messi's experience, the reception to it?
Yeah, I think, I don't know how threatened Europe is yet by even what's happening over here. But I will say, I do know for a fact that some of these big soccer brands over in Europe are now investing in some of my industry buddies who are in the consulting space to come in and make sure their model is keeping up with we're not selling tickets just because we have a good product on the field, but we're actually investing and getting things done in a process-oriented way. So I think that there's models that are being replicated, but we'll see. I mean, everybody wants to live in America. It's a great place to be.
Yep.
And so
our soccer product, no question, has been subpar to the European soccer products. But I think again, as the product of soccer improves, and then you kind of have these what I'll say big wins in these Messi experiences. I'm just kind of curious how the European professionals are looking at America no longer as this poo market, but like well,
as soon as we steal some in their prime,
I
think it's going to be a red flag for sure.
Well, and then the floodgates open.
100%.
It's a floodgate open thing, which is what Europe doesn't want to have happen. I get it. Maybe the last question here. What is a strategic partnership that, man, you're excited about? If you want to wave the flag for anyone, is there any strategic partnerships that you love to point at?
Oh man, I've got so many. I would say just to list real quickly a few. Two Docks Brewery has been amazing to us. We've got our own unique Matador branded beer through that. That was a fun thing to be able to do. United Supermarkets has been super helpful for us being able to get in front of families and in the grocery category. And a lot of our partners have brands in there. So we've been able to do some cool stuff with them. And then one of my favorites, Pepsi, has got involved. We're known as a Coke town, but Pepsi dove 1,000,000%
awesome.
in with us.
Yeah.
Did our own Matador branded trailer that delivers product up and down West Texas. We're the only team in the league that has something like that.
Yeah.
So super grateful for all of our partners. I could go on and on, but yeah, we've got some unique elements that a lot of teams at our level don't have because of those people.
Yep, that's fantastic. And I can, certainly point to Two Docks. They're one of the first adoptions of some nice commercial solar arrays that they've got over their kind of sitting area. So we love the Two Docks.
Well, they're a forward-thinking group. So
Absolutely, they're great. Well, Dustin, man, I mean, seriously, I'm looking at our time here going, gosh, we could keep going, which just tells me we need to have another conversation, a follow-up conversation.
Love it. Love to be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to have Dustin, GM of the Lubbock Matadors. If you have not, you absolutely need to go out, check them out, be a part of what's going on. A lot of fun for the families. And so also, if you want to find out some more of how you can tackle some of these energy challenges, we've got free commercial batteries. We've got ways to drop energy costs. So check us out on our socials at GetRiseEnergy, www.getriseenergy.com, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, we're all over. So until the next time, be charged up and have a good one.